Hi everybody, this is Linda Tillman. We're going to start by lighting the smoker. So you take a little ball of pine straw and you light it. And once it's lit, you drop it down into the smoker and go puff, puff, get the flames going good. And then we're going to add little bits of pine straw in little bundles until we have it with enough pine straw in it, in my opinion, to go through 2 hives. This is great when the smoke blows on you like this, and the rest of the day you smell like a Girl Scout, which is fine with me. I was a Girl Scout. Or I'll go home and take a shower, which is more likely. I've already inspected one hive today, so my pine needle supplies in my kit aren't as big as usual, but good enough. Alright, so I think that's enough to get through both of these hives. But you notice you add just a little bit every time and you keep puffing the smoke, because what you don't want to do is press down on the fuel that you're putting in and smother the fire that's down below. So this is good. Okay, so we're going to start with the top bar hive today. So we're going to begin by just watching. We're going to begin by watching the entrance of the top bar hive and seeing what we see. What we want to see, it's the nectar flow has started in Georgia, so a lot of these bees are coming in with nectar, but we want to see what we see right there. 2, 3, 4 bees going in with pollen on their legs. 5. So seeing bees going in with pollen makes us feel fairly confident. They have a queen in there who's doing okay. And look, there's another one. And you'll remember that this is a swarm that I caught early in March. A huge swarm. It was a 4-cat swarm, and thrilled about it. So all that pollen makes me feel good, and all the rest of these bees are coming in with nectar. So I'm going to go puff, puff, puff to say the beekeeper's here, and set my smoker down. I may need it again, but for right now that's what I'm going to do with it. And I'm going to move you over so you can see what happens as I open the top bar hive. So I should put on my jacket. I've been in a hive that was really mean, so I have all my gear today. Jacket and veil and gloves and the whole 9 yards. Okay everybody, now I'm going to open up the top bar hive. This right here is where I put some protection on because the edges of the roof are kind of sharp and it's been on there so long now. So big ants run away as I open this up, and we have our frame rest and some other paraphernalia that goes with this hive. A big old cockroach who's not glad to see me, and 2 hive drapes. Right now this is the follower board, so this is the back end of the hive, and this is my top bar hive tool, but I'm not going to use it yet until I need it. I have my gloves ready just in case these bees decide that stinging me would be fun. So we're going to start with the second bar in. They were not using this the last time we were here. And we're going to see, are they right now? And the answer is barely, but they are. They're starting to build wax on it, which is kind of exciting. But we're going to take this particular bar, which they're not really using, and put it down here at the end as we explore this hive. Okay, so I'm going to take a hive drape and cover up the opening that I created, but it will make it a little easier to get some bars out. So I'm going to take out the second bar. Last time we were here they were working on the 5th and 6th bar. Actually I am going to put on my gloves because I've already got a bee attacking my hands. And it is very hard in the top bar not to make them upset, because I know everybody says that it makes it better for the bees, and maybe it is, but I get stung more in the top bar hive than I do in my Langstroth hives. And so I must have something I need to learn about how I'm pulling out the frames. But at the moment, so look at this. They are using old wax, but they are certainly using it. That's exciting. That's good. And I'm not going to see what they're doing on that wax yet. We're going to just keep looking, because what I want to find is a frame that has brood and eggs and that kind of thing on, to show you what the bees do with the wax that they make. We pull this one up. This is all new since the last time. Wow, look at that. All right, I'm going to put this on the rack and see what we see. So this frame looks like it's mostly honey. Those cells all in there have liquid. That's honey. There's some brood right there. I don't have enough light in here. This is unfortunately a hive that's in the shade. But I can't tell if there are eggs on here or not. They probably are. Very cool hive bar though. So what we know now from looking at these first two bars is that these bees, first 3 bars, are using the extent of the hive, and we may need to give them some more bars at the end, which we will, if it seems like that's what they need. And here is the next bar over. This is just beautiful. Now look at all of this brood. This is all worker brood, all in there. So they are building up their numbers. The queen is working hard to build up the numbers. That is a big old drone crawling around on this frame. But she's working hard to build up the numbers in this hive, to build up her population so that she keeps on having a good workforce. And the nectar flow is going on right now, so she couldn't have a better time to be working on her workforce. Frame after frame is looking just as beautiful. They are just building great comb and doing a good job. Now look at all the pollen colors right in here. There are lots of different colors of pollen, which is very nice to see. And they are just doing a great job with this hive. This is drone brood. See those that are kind of bulging out? That's drone brood, and we know that because they look more like bullets. And here's a drone right here to attest the fact that there's been drone brood in that hive. And then this is all worker brood. And you notice these are smaller cells than the cells over here where they put in honey right in here, and they built some drone brood. Thankfully, the hive that was in this hive box last year and died out left them nice comb models to follow. They're following the model of the previous tenant, and consequently they're not sticking their comb to the wall of the hive, which is just great. Again, here this is all worker brood down here. They have pollen right in there. They have honey over here in this bigger comb. They're really just doing a phenomenal job. Here's more worker up here. Let's see if we see any eggs in this. There's lots of little brood, young brood right in here. And look at this bee with pollen on her legs. She's delivering the pollen to these pollen cells that are over here. And right in here, you can see, I think, all this little worker brood that's in that. That's so cool. The little larvae. So I did a little puff of smoke. I'm realizing part of why they're irritated right now is that my hive drape was covering up the entrance to the hive, and they were not happy because they couldn't get inside to go home. So I think opening it up will make my life a little bit easier. Every single frame, every single comb, just beautiful in this hive. Here again, see, this is drone brood right there that sticks out like a bullet, where this is worker brood right here that's flat. Flat is worker, and bulging out is the drone comb. And in here you've got some honey and some pollen. They make bee bread by mixing hormones from their mouth with the pollen to make what's called bee bread. So in just a second I'm going to look at one more, and when we see it, then I'm going to start at the other end and see, do they need me to add some more bars, because the tulip poppers started blooming this week, which means the beginning of the nectar flow, and they need space. We want to make sure they have plenty of room to store honey. And look at these bees. These bees are festooning, trying to fill in the space in here to make wax. You know, you've got worker brood all around in here. This queen is just prolific in her egg laying. She's doing a great job, and this hive is just full of population, which is exactly what we want to see. I couldn't be happier with this hive. That's probably something I ought to do more in the top bar hive, is smoke, so that I can put the hive back together without killing bees, because boy do I kill bees in the top bar hive, and I hate it. Okay, so now we're going to go down to the other end of the top bar hive. Oops. Now we're going to go down to this end of the top bar hive, which is the beginning of where the flower board is, and see, do they need us to expand their space. So we're going to start with the first bar inside, and see, look at here, pretty white wax. Look at that. They're building white wax, new wax, right there. So they're starting to use this one, this bar. Let's see if they're also using the one next to it. If they are, we're going to go ahead and add some more bars. Yes, oh my gosh, look at that. Beautiful white wax. Just beautiful white wax, and it's very big, because what they want to do with this is put honey in it. This is for honey storage. So now we know that this hive is ready for expansion in terms of space. I'm going to look at one more and see if they're storing honey in it. The thing about the top bar hive is it gets full pretty fast in the nectar flow, and you have to be ready to harvest honey all the time. Look at that. There's brand new, wow, brand new drone brood and honeycomb all on the same frame. How pretty is that? Same on this side, drone comb and honeycomb. So we are definitely adding space, because they are as close to the end as you could possibly imagine they're getting. So we're going to put this bar back in, and what we're going to do is we're going to shut this and get it out of the way, and we are going to take out the follower board. Actually, what we're going to do is take out the board behind the follower board. See, this is a new top bar hive bar. It's been dipped in wax, because that's what I do with my hives, but it's new. And then this has got old comb on it, and I don't know whether, I don't know if I'm going to put that one in or not. I think I might take one from the other end. So I'm going to push this down, the flower board. I'm going to push it down. I don't need to take the flower board out, which is kind of disturbing to them, because it makes all of a sudden all this space they weren't used to. I'll put this new bar in. Then I'm going to go down here to the end. This one's fine. It's not pretty. It's got some old wax moth damage on it, so we're going to get rid of the wax moth damage. The bees will do it if I don't, but it saves them a little work if I do it. We're going to put in 3 new bars. So that's 1 new bar. So we're going to put these 2 in. So we're going to take this one out and move it down here to the end where it's not being used right now. And we're going to push the follower board down. There are a few bees in here on this side of the follower board, which worries me, because I don't want them to end up trapped in here. Okay, so we'll put this one in. And this one in. And then we'll tighten everything back up. And all that's close. So now we've added 3 unused bars. Maybe we ought to add 4 since it's the nectar flow. Let's see if I have another one that has nothing on it. Here we go. They'll be excited. It's like suddenly you got a new addition to your house and you didn't even have to move out while it was being built. How cool is that? So there we go. And there's an opening down here that they can get out of, and a hole right there that they can get out of should I end up with some bees trapped under the cover when we leave. So that's it for this top bar hive. It's doing great. I couldn't be happier. I hope y'all had fun seeing what it looks like on the inside. And now what we're going to do is go over and look at the the other hive that I have in this yard. Okay, first thing we're going to do is look at the front door. So there are bees flying in. I looked here. There's one with pollen. Beautiful bright yellow pollen. I looked a while ago before I went over to the top bar and saw lots of pollen coming in, so I'm really not worried about it. I wanted you to see a little. And then, like I said, the nectar flow is on right now. So that's really their main thing, is they're bringing in nectar. There's more pollen. But we've seen enough pollen. I saw 5 earlier, and then there were 2, and there's another one, 3, 4. There's plenty of pollen coming in for us to feel good about this hive. So I'm going to take the smoker and go puff, puff. Okay, I don't like wearing gloves, but I'm wearing gloves today because I got stung a lot in this hive the last time I was in it. I just want to have a better experience today and be slow and deliberate about everything I'm doing and not feel pressed. There's a big old cockroach on the back of this hive, which doesn't mean anything, but he is there. Just ran over my thumb. I don't know if you saw him on the tape. Okay. To take off the inner cover, there's a lot of bees there, which is nice. Now, because the nectar flow has started, they should be working in these boxes that we've had here for, and they are. There are lots of bees in these boxes, and they are working on building comb. Now, there was a comb on only, I think, 1 maybe frame, and it looks like they're building combs off. It's not a box where we're going to see brood or anything, but it's a box where we might see comb building. I can't really tell if they are or not, but we'll see. Look at there. Beautiful new comb that they're building. Has great big cells in it because they're building it for honey storage now that the nectar flow has started. They can build comb very quickly, and they fill it up very quickly. There are all these people that say it takes so much time for bees to build comb, and they say that they use up a lot of honey making wax, but they can really fill up a box in such a short time and fill up the wax with honey or with nectar. So that's enough to see there to make us know that they're using that box appropriately. This is not a hive that needs a new box, but it does let us know that they are actively engaged in the nectar flow, which is a real positive sign. That box is going to have only honeycomb in it that we took off, and this one is likely to too. Oh my, have they been using wax in this box. This box had only 2 frames filled with wax. Here, I'm going to fix it so you can see. The last time we were here, I believe it had 2, maybe 3 frames filled with wax, and now I was going to need another new box next week. Now look at all the wax frames. You can see it, and you can see that there's wax on this frame, there's wax on this frame, there's wax on this frame. If you saw a box like this as the top box, you'd know that you would need to replace, add a new box right away. This hive doesn't need a new box because it has a relatively new box, but what we're going to know is that next week it's going to need a new box. That this is just really something. I'll pull out one so you can see, but all this is wax that they're using for honey now that the nectar flow has started. And the nectar flow, when I say that, in Georgia that means when the tulip poplar has started blooming. And this neighborhood has a lot of tulip poplar. The neighborhood where I live, my new house is, and my bees are, there's not much tulip poplar. I've seen 2 trees. I walk my dog every day on all different streets in the neighborhood, and I've only seen 2 tulip poplar trees, which is disappointing. I don't want to ruin their honeycomb. They're building big, thick honeycomb. I don't think I can get that one out without ruining it. I think I'm going to go to the other side and see if I can. They're not joined to the frame next to it, but they are. It's fat. The same is true here. Let's see if maybe I can. I just don't think I can. This is just beautiful comb though, and I want you to see it. So I'm going to go over here and take out the outside frame, which is not my normal thing to do. But I'm sure you've been on hive inspections with some other people that take out the outside frame. And so I will look like them instead of like me. But my method is not to take out the outside frame because of what you do to the bees when you put it back in, which is potentially kill bees being smushed against the hard board on the outside. Oh wow, look at that pretty honey. just filled with honey. Honey, honey, honey. This is going to be a hive. This is an overwintered hive. It's going to be a hive that we can harvest from this year because they are creating a good crop of honey, which is very exciting. And we're going to take this heavy box off. It's going to be heavy because it's full of honeycomb. And look at brood and eggs in the next box. I would like to take 3 frames, make a split into my queen castle because the hives in my own backyard are not doing well. Oh my God, this is heavy. Wow, that is so full of honey, and that has been just since last week. I was just here. I mean, that is amazing. That just lets you know how fast the honey flow happens. I have an extra box in my car. I might actually put it on this hive because they're doing so well. Okay, now this is going to be potentially they can brood in these boxes. So we're going to see, is this still brood? And decide where to take the first frame. I'm going to take the 3rd frame in. Even it doesn't look easy to get. These girls are making big fat combs. We're going to take the 4th frame in. There we go. So this frame they're using almost exclusively, they are using exclusively for drone brood. See all that drone brood? That's all drone brood. And it's because it was, it's a frame that already was drawn wax from last year and it had big cells on it. So they did what you do with big cells. You either store honey in it or make drone brood, and they decided to make drone brood. So more power to them. They must have wanted or needed the drones. Let's see what the next one looks like. Now this one is full of brood, really nice brood. So that's worker brood, lots of worker brood. We're going to see if there are any eggs in it and make sure the queen isn't on it. And if that is the case, there are some eggs and no queen, we'll take this one for the split. All right, definitely eggs. So now I've got to just look for the queen. I see the queen. This is not the frame to take. There are also eggs on this side, so there'd be lots of possibilities for a new hive to make a queen. So I have to really look. We're going to put an empty frame back in its place. The frame I was looking at was a good one, so I was able to replace, put it in a split box and replace it with this empty frame. Now this one's got honey and lots of drone brood, so we don't want to take it. And this has honey and drone brood. Lots of honey, so we're not going to take that one either. Now we're going to look at the box below. We're going to take the frame that we put on the rack and put it down into the hive. Put it back down into the hive. Okay, on this box we're going to take the third frame in. Beautiful brood. This is so pretty. This is all worker brood that they have just, it's just beautiful. They made new wax and immediately put worker brood there, which is just beautiful. It just shows you what they do when they make wax. They put it to use right away. And there are eggs in this one too. So let me make sure the queen isn't on this one. Maybe we'll take it. It's a very small frame to take, but it's a good frame to take because it does have eggs and it does have bees, and I don't see the queen. And this is a nice frame, lots of worker brood. This is a very prolific queen. You can see here lots of worker brood. And the end bar is missing on this frame. I don't know, and the bottom bar. So it's an old frame that sort of fallen apart at the seams, literally. And this one is full of pollen, which is a good thing to have in a queen's frame, a queen box. We're going to put these in the queen castle. So it's good to take pollen. So we need to see, is the queen on this one, which is sometimes a good frame to see the queen on. But the pollen is the kicker for me. Boy, this is really heavy. So they've only filled up two frames in this box. So I'm not going to put an extra box on. Okay, so look at how the bees are behaving now. This is because while I had the box all taken apart, they couldn't get into the hive and store their nectar that they're bringing in. And now they can, so they're grateful and they're going in. But they were not happy with me for doing that. And they are all going in to take the nectar and to go forward with their little bee lives. So most of y'all used to see me work without gloves and all this paraphernalia, but these bees were not nice to me the last time I was here. And I'm not interested in letting them do that again. So there are a whole lot of ants in this hive, and I don't think I've ever been able to show you all this, but look at that. Look at all those ants. So I'm going to tell them, go away. Oh, thank you. That was very helpful. The bees don't like them. They keep them corralled up here on the top. There are also a few small hive beetles here that I'm going to kill while I'm here. And decimate the ant population for a while here. But see, it's not good that the bees aren't up here with the this many small hive beetles. So we'll see what's going on with this hive. So I came over here thinking I was going to
an extra box on this hive, but they clearly don't need it.
They are not using this box at all. So let's come look at the emptiness of it. See, they're not using that box. Thank you. I have a wonderful friend, Gail Phillips, who's helping me today. So we're going to take this box off. It's empty, so they don't need a new box, which is one of the reasons I wanted to look at them. But see how they're just going crazy? So I'm going to smoke them. And I'll put a hive drape on them, which I always do. I'm going to do that. And we're keeping on going down because we want to see what this hive is doing in the way of the kind of amount of brood that they have, because I think they've swarmed. It's a much smaller group of bees than we had before. They may have swarmed more than once, actually. And the way this is looking, it's not so good. There's some evidence of small hive beetle damage in this box, and I'll show it to you in a second, but we're going to go all the way to the bottom first. Wow, this hive, you all, is not very healthy. There are a lot of small hive beetles, and we want to see if this hive even has a queen. And this just doesn't look like anything's going on in this box. Now sometimes when a beehive swarms, just in a normal way, what happens is the queen goes out, but when she comes back, she gets eaten by a bird. And it is well purpleized down here and very hard to get out. Can't get out the frame to look, but I can tell you there's nothing on it. The question is, are all of them like this? If this is a frame where there was brood in this hive, but there isn't now. So you can see that this used to have brood on it. That's why it's dark brown. But there's no evidence of any brood in this hive. This is really not good. Well, let's look over here. I can see evidence of a queen cell, so we're going to see what we've got over here. Now look at that. This frame has 2 queen cells on it that have not hatched. Those are the queen cells, but there's nothing around them. And since queen cells take 16 days to hatch, the fact that those are the only 2 and there's not any other brood around here, worker bees take 21 days to emerge, and worker bees take 21 days to emerge, and drones take 23 or 24, and some of those should be in here if they've got a queen cell that hatches in 16 days. So you have to wonder about that, those 2 queen cells, and that there are not bees around them protecting them. But this is pitiful. So this hive has swarmed and has not the resources, except for these 2 queen cells, that there's nobody in here minding the store on the queen cells. So this is not a good situation. So I'm not going to look anymore in that box because I can see that queen cell and I can see that there's nothing more in that box. This box is kind of heavy. So I'm going to see what's in here. Is it just honey? And look at the small hive beetles. Oh my goodness. The hard part about killing them this way is I could be squashing a bee, and I don't want to. Now this hive has always had a lot of crooked comb. I'm going to tip this up. See all the comb that's been joined, and it means that taking out a frame in here is not going to be possible. But the worst news about this, let me have the whole thing. The worst news about this is you can see in here the slime from the small hive beetle, which means that they're ruining whatever honey crop there is or was, and there isn't any brood, I don't think, on any of these frames. It's so hard to pull one out because they're all joined together, but so whenever you get to a hive and you see what we saw at the beginning of this one, that there were as a wild group of ants all over it. So many things wrong here, and this hive is not going to make it. So that's the end of this hive. We won't do anything about it because there's not anything we can do. And they will just die